are these doubling of aluminum and steel tariffs on Canadian imports not going to happen now?
So, yeah, what happened was the Premier of Ontario, a province of Canada, independently decided to put a surcharge on hydroelectric power to the U.S. of 25%, made some very provocative statements. The president is not going to stand for any of that. And cooler heads prevailed. I mean, as soon as you look at the fight itself, I mean, a 25% surcharge on electricity sounds like a big deal to America, but when you parse it out, it only affected 3 states, Michigan, Minnesota, and New York. It was a nothing burger totally for Michigan and Minnesota, and a little tiny burger for New York. And this guy's firing these big cannons at us, and he got a bazooka back at him, and cooler heads prevailed. I would just ask my friends in Canada to let's tamp down the rhetoric. I understand politics, and it's a political season there. What we're trying to do, Morgan, is level the playing field internationally, and with respect to the specific tariffs that went in effect on Canada and Mexico, we're trying to stop the Canadians and Mexicans from killing Americans with fentanyl that spreads across our prescription drug chain. So we want to keep all of this in perspective, but we bounced off the lows. But if you look, even medium term, long term, it's a beautiful bullish scenario, but we're coming out of a very bearish set of factors imposed by the Biden regime that are both inflationary and stagflationary that we're trying to fight our way through. And we got to work our way through that if you want, but that's kind of where things are at. But the future is so bright I need shades here, particularly with these lights.
So, Peter, does that mean that we're not going to see 50% tariffs come tomorrow on steel and aluminum?
Correct. Yeah, that's Secretary of Commerce Lutnick did a beautiful job negotiating that. But frankly, the Premier, he's been. I mean, look, just tamp it down, please, over there, okay? Just throwing down the hockey gloves. And stop that rhetoric, and let's just look at what we're trying to do. We love Canada, but look, there's some big issues there, and we're not going to tolerate anything but them stopping killing Americans and doing what's right with respect to things like steel and aluminum, which they've been dumping into our country, and that's stopping. Today, I was kind of going through, it's like how they cheat us. And just as a metric for autos, if we try to sell a $50,000 Cadillac to Germany, by the time it gets through their tariffs, VAT tax, and other barriers, it's $65,000. Whereas if they're selling a BMW to us, a $50,000 BMW, they do these export subsidies through the VAT, and it's $42,000. That's not fair. That's a $20,000 differential. But you go further and you look at like Brazil, you look at Vietnam, you look at India. It's like these are in the excess of over $100,000 for a $50,000 car. That's how we're being cheated. Agricultural products. I mean, you try to sell rice from this country to Japan, and it's like up to a 700% tariff. I mean, and then try to sell dairy to Europe, it's like 40%. Meat, it's just so. This is not fair. It's not right. President Trump is going to set this right. And April 2nd, we begin that process with reciprocity.
Okay.
Let's remember here that tariffs equal tax cuts. One of the biggest macro decisions this country is going to face, and it's going to happen on Capitol Hill, is whether or not we're able to get one of the best tax cuts in history, or whether it's going to be a tax hike because things are going to lapse. And the tariffs are going to pay for that tax cut, and everybody in America is going to benefit it. With respect to the certainty, there's a lot more certainty than the markets are giving us credit for if you simply take President Trump at his word. I mean, look at what happened today, in the last couple of days. Like, the day traders made a ton of money on volatility and fear in the markets. They didn't trust in Trump. But what happened today? We had breakthrough on some peace in Ukraine, and we had Ford back down on his threat to impose a surcharge on our electricity, and then things calm back down. I mean, I don't understand why the markets can't see through that fog of war and understand that we're making this beautiful transition to a world where we're going to have a 3D war on inflation. It's the drill baby drill, it's the deregulation, and it's the Doge. We're going to have a tremendous influx, already $2 trillion of pledged investment from the tariffs coming in. What does that do? That raises wages, real terms, and helps purchasing power and drives down the wages. We bring the trade deficit down. That strengthens the dollar, more purchasing power. See that, Wall Street? It's bullish, but we got to get from there, which is the Biden just total fiscal irresponsibility accommodated by the Fed, to a world in which we're fiscally responsible and we're taking care of our manufacturing and defense industrial base, and life's good for the deplorables and American workers, which are the people that got President Trump elected. So see that chessboard. If you're a CEO and you've got a bunch of offshored stuff, you should have been bringing that onshore months ago in anticipation of this victory. And now it's like, whoa, I got caught by surprise. No, you didn't get caught by surprise. You bet against Trump. You bet against Trump, and then you didn't believe that Trump would do what he said. If anybody, look, if there's anything people have learned right now in the first 45 or 6, how many days it is that Donald Trump is going to do exactly what he promised on the campaign trail.
And that does
it's going
seem
to be for the benefit of America. USMCA has not worked to America's advantage in many ways. And a large part of the problem was that the Biden administration did not enforce the deal. And because they didn't enforce the deal on either side of the border, countries, not just Mexico, but countries taking advantage of Mexico allowed Mexico to take advantage of us. They basically turned Mexico into a big transshipment platform for all sorts of dump products. There's all sorts of tariff avoidance, gaming the system, and that's all going to come out in the review. And there's a reason why we have particularly these big trade deficits, particularly with Mexico. I mean, it's huge, and it's because USMCA is not working for America right now, and it's because Biden didn't enforce it.